Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. I braced on that one for a second. Braced for impact. It is Thursday, September 19th. My name is Morgan Colby. Got Rick Lemon right across from me.
What's up?
Week three starts tonight.
Dude, it's already week 3.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be week 4 soon. I want to get past it. Okay. Fantasy football every year for me is always, or for everyone, is always a battle to get through the first 3 weeks because 1 week is not a good enough sample size for information. 2 weeks is not a good enough sample size for information.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks is not a good sample size for information. So after you get past week 3, you'll start to see a little more information. Like that's the first quarter of the NFL season done, and you'll be like, good. You'll know who's good, who's bad, who's not. You'll have consistency, tendencies, all that stuff that we can kind of figure out. But right now, we're only 2 weeks in, and so we still have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, honestly.
On this episode, we break down week 3 and discuss our starts and sits for the week. Before we do that, we're going to get into some news. But first, please go to our website, fantasychampions.com. I just posted my trade value article on there yesterday. And
very good.
Yeah, it's very good.
I totally don't use it to use trades in my own league with you.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how many people in our league use that against me. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Champs, Instagram at the Fantasy Champions. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. Subscribe wherever you listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play. Wherever you listen, be sure to subscribe. Click the bell for notifications on YouTube. Leave a review wherever you listen, and share this podcast with your friends. Let's get into some news to start the show. This is a bombshell. Probably not as much of a bombshell as we should think it is, but I didn't think it would happen this fast. Giants announced rookie Daniel Jones will be the starter week 3.
Yep.
I think they realized, our team blows. Let's just move on.
It took them 2 whole weeks to realize that the Giants aren't good. It's 2 weeks longer than I would have guessed.
Yeah. Eli doesn't he blows. I don't think it's more. I think it's more or less their offensive line just being absolute garbage.
I mean, they don't help the situation. Let's say that. Eli,
he's not
there's
good
been a lot of
anymore,
debate.
but he should at least be a good game manager at least.
Well,
Nick Foles or
guess,
Eli
yeah.
Manning.
And Nick Foles.
Yeah, Nick Foles.
At this point in his career, like Eli 10
right.
years ago was a top 10 quarterback in
Yeah.
the league and was pretty solid. But yeah, at this point in his career, I think it was just time.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, though, I'm excited to see Daniel Jones. He lit up the preseason.
It was preseason, but yes, he did.
The Giants fans and every NFL fan in existence roasted the Giants from the end of the NFL draft all the way until preseason or training camp for drafting Daniel Jones. And then when he stepped on the field,
looked really good.
He looked really good. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" So now everyone's really excited. Like they liked Daniel Jones all along.
Yeah.
Like you clowns.
He did. Play
You said that was the worst Giants decision of all. Hey, it could still be.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it was obviously picking him at 6 was the kind of the head scratcher. But if you feel like he's the guy to replace Eli Manning, he's the next franchise quarterback for the next 15, 20 years, you have to draft him.
Oh, yeah. I think, scouting is a different. Sometimes you can scout the wrong guy. Sometimes you can scout the right guy, and drafting is so hit or miss anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you really do believe you got the guy, why not draft him where you want to draft him?
Make sure he's on your team,
Like in 10 years, they could regret not drafting Dwayne Haskins. That could be a thing. But regardless, I'm excited to see Daniel Jones. I never really fully hated him. I actually wanted the Patriots to draft him, but I didn't think he was going to be.
No, yeah.
Anyway, Cam Newton's status for week 3 is up in the air. It is said that he will play on Sunday if he does practice today. So you'll watch Roto World and all of the news sources you can to figure out if Cam Newton's going to be in. He's not startable if he does play. So I wouldn't if if there's like no quarterbacks on your waiver wire.
14. What about a 14 team? No,
16 team league with no quarterbacks left. Yeah, Cam Newton, keep an eye on his foot situation. But apparently he re-aggravated his foot. He's looked bad.
Yes.
In the first 2 games.
You could say that.
He's not running the ball. He's not passing the ball. At this point, if Cam Newton is not running, I don't even care what he does passing the ball. He's worthless in fantasy without his feet. So do not. I drafted him in like the 10th round in our league, and I dropped him like probably 2 quarters into the Thursday night football game. Yeah, I said no way. So I got rid of Cam Newton, but I think I would suggest you do the same. Don't hold on to a guy that doesn't show anything. And I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? Yeah. He plays well, and then you go put a waiver bid on him. The Washington Post reports it's unclear when the league will decide if Antonio Brown will be placed on the commissioner's exempt list. We should just have a segment entirely designated to Antonio Brown news.
I know.
At this point,
really, every single show. It's Antonio Brown this. Yep. It's Antonio Brown that.
Yep. So apparently there was more. I think we talked about this on Tuesday, but there was more allegations and all kinds of stuff. A report did come out today about Antonio Brown that according to I can't remember what state it was, but according to the statute of limitations, he can't be criminally prosecuted for this. Was it Pennsylvania? Yeah. So Antonio Brown, at least one of his cases can't be criminally prosecuted. So if one of those were to go criminal, then he would probably be suspended pretty quickly.
Yeah, or at least put on the
at least on the exempt list. Percentage really quick. Percentage of chance that Antonio Brown is placed on the exempt list.
It's like, to me, it's like 30-70. 30 that he does, 70 that he doesn't.
I would say 45%, but they said the NFL basically, or not the NFL, but reports are that the NFL.
Are you saying Josh Gordon owners, there's a chance?
There might be a chance. There are reports, I don't want to dwell on Antonio Brown for 25 minutes, but there are reports that the NFL won't, like, if it doesn't have anything to do with the decision to play, like if they don't make a decision by Wednesday, which is yesterday, then he will probably play Sunday because they don't want to affect the week. So just keep an eye on the situation. Deshaun Jackson is expected to miss Sunday's game against the Lions and will likely remain sidelined Week 4's Thursday night contest. So if you were thinking about starting Deshaun Jackson, he's out for 2 games. Speaking about O.J. Howard's slow start on Tuesday, Bucs head coach Bruce Arians said the balls will come. Now you are on the fence about whether you should keep or drop O.J. Howard.
I told everybody.
I didn't pay attention. Did you drop him this week?
I did not.
Okay, all right. Are you going to hold on to him for one more week and ride the storm?
Well, yeah, we'll see. If he doesn't get 10 points this week, though, he's gone.
How many targets? Like, for me, I think it's like for tight ends, it's just target share. It's like, how many targets does a guy get? This is why I don't like Ebron. Ebron's a tight end that gets like 3 targets a game.
Targets.
Right. Or say it again.
He needs like 7.
Right. Okay. For you to be satisfied. Okay.
Lions. Unless he gets like 6 targets, 6 catches. Like one of those games, and I'll be like, oh, okay. All right.
So big news for Carry-On. Lions released C.J. Anderson. Mm-hmm. Is this big news for Carry-On, or is this big news for Ty Johnson?
So, I mean, I think Ty Johnson. Honestly,
Ty Johnson's filling the C.J. Anderson.
I'm a Carry-On owner, but it's probably big for Ty. Honestly,
the first thing you thought is, here we go. They want to go Carry-On. But we thought that when they did the theoretic thing, too.
Do you think it could be like a Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry situation?
That's not good. I mean, are we talking last year when LaFleur was coaching, or this year? Maybe. I think they're looking for the theoretic replacement when you have it in your...
Right, with Carry-On. But they're not... no matter what, they're not going to give him like every snap anyway.
The lines are stupid.
But at least this way now, who's going to get the goal line work? It's Carry-On.
Oh yeah. It's
before it would have probably been C.J. Anderson.
Like that was my concern. Mm-hmm. Seeing him at play after 1 week, it is a little bit concerning. Like, I don't know what his ceiling actually is. Like, I think at this point he's a mid to low end RB2.
Yeah, it's a mid RB2 probably.
Like, that's probably where he's going to finish, but I don't see a fantasy season for the next 14 weeks where he is able to ascend into that.
Well, we'll see. I think
conversation.
this week be key to see how they use Ty Anderson? Ty Johnson?
Ty Johnson. I know. I always want to say Ty
I want to say Ty Anderson too, yeah. It's going to be key how they use Ty Johnson. Because if they do use him a lot...
Yeah. We could be getting that Ty really wrong. I'm going to look it up right now.
I think it's Ty Johnson.
Yeah, Ty Johnson. It's Ty Johnson. I got it right. I second-guess myself.
But yeah, I mean, this week is going to be key because we're going to see if they think if the CJ Anderson getting cut really means that they're going to pound the ball with Carry-On, or they just wanted to give Ty Johnson some work.
Yeah. So... Because after that big run for Carry-On in the last game, it went straight to Ty Johnson. And
you're right.
I was like, I don't know. But yeah, the only person that knows what the hell's going on is Matt Patricia. AJ Green said he is expected to be sidelined longer than the publicly reported 6 to 8 week
wait, who would have expected that?
Yeah. How many
pretends to act shocked?
If you were an AJ Green owner, how many weeks are you going to suffer? David Njoku. He had if you watched any of the Monday Night Football game, you would know that he landed on his head awkwardly and he got a concussion. He is now currently not practicing Wednesday, still in concussion protocol, I believe. So keep an eye on that. I would not. I don't know.
I would not. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll talk about it later. James Conner said he is good to go for Week 3 against the 49ers. So some good news for James Conner owners. Mm-hmm. Sterling Shepard, he remains in the league's concussion protocol. You probably weren't even considering starting him anyway.
No.
Devin Singletary, this was a hotly talked about situation. He was listed day to day with a hamstring injury. He did not practice Wednesday. So if he doesn't practice Thursday and he doesn't practice Friday, then I would say that Frank Gore's good to go and he'll be the full-time starter for Sunday. For me, I think if you're going to hold on to Devin Singletary, then you're going to hold on to him for a very long time before he does anything this season. I would definitely be concerned about the hamstring injury because those tend to linger, and the time to sell Devin Singletary, if there's any window to sell any bench player of his caliber, is now.
I do think later in the season, though,
he'll probably be good, but what is he ever at this point in the season going to be startable? Like, not this point in the season, but is he at any point in the season going to be a starter?
At any point? Well, I mean,
in fantasy lineups, not on the Bills.
No, I think at some point in the season he could be, because they might, as the year goes on, they might give more and more carries, but the Frank Gore effect. So we'll have to
see. I feel like he's a longer play that will end up being like a 5th round pick next year in fantasy drafts.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if they keep the same team and Frank Gore leaves or retires,
it's Singletary's job. I had him on my team for like 3 weeks. He's so efficient. He's insanely efficient with what he does. So keep an eye on Devin Singletary's health situation. Coach Matt LaFleur, I can't stand this guy. He's literally a buffoon, and I acquired Aaron Jones on like Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. And then news on Wednesday comes out that Matt LaFleur wants to even up touches between Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams.
Every Aaron Jones fantasy owner right now.
But he didn't say touches, so I don't know why the report.
Snapshare.
He said reps.
Or yeah.
I don't know why.
I thought he said Snapshare.
The report from Roto World says touches when he said Snapshare. Anyway.
Or reps, whatever.
Reps, yeah, whatever it may be. I would not be... if they even up touches...
See it to believe it.
Yeah, I got to see it to believe it. A lot of people say things mid-season, and it just...
Because they also... Haven't they been saying or alluding to the fact all year
that they want Aaron Jones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. If you are a Aaron Jones owner and you're panicking, I would wait until this week. And then hope he has a good game. And if he does split snaps with Jamal Williams and has a good game, bounce him out of your team real fast. But I at some point, Matt LaFleur's an idiot. How many times? Wow. I hate it because it's like you spent an entire season last year with Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis, and then it took you to the end of the year, to the last 4 weeks, to figure out that you had a good running back in Derrick Henry, and you figured out how to use him, and you also figured out that Dion Lewis blows. Like, he sucks. So, and then utilize Derrick Henry properly, and all of a sudden things like Aaron Jones fits Matt LaFleur's system so perfectly, and he's going to sit here and he's going to put Jamal Williams in, and Jamal Williams is so trash. He's even worse than Dion.
Bro,
I can't with this guy.
You need dual running backs to win.
Why is everyone obsessed with the freaking running back by committee? It doesn't work.
The Patriots do it.
That's true. They're like, I'm going to do what the Patriots do. No, stop. If you have,
it does work.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about what the Patriots do?
What?
Is that they don't do RBBC on purpose. They do it because they say, these are the guys that, like, James White is a great pass catcher, so we're going to utilize that talent. Sony Michel is a great, like, guy on the ground, so we're going to utilize that. Rex Burkhead is a good grinder, a guy that's going to punch you in the face. We're going to utilize that. You know what I mean? So they utilize people in their offense exactly what they're really, really good at. The rest of the league don't get that. It doesn't click with them. If you have a talent in Aaron Jones, don't sit there and go, oh, we're going to use Jamal Williams. He's not good. It's like, what does Jamal Williams do well? Tell me right now what Jamal Williams does well.
Pass blocking, maybe?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you are worried about, don't be worried about Aaron Jones until after Sunday's matchup, is what I would say. Damian Williams, he had a knee injury in Sunday's game. He did not practice Wednesday. Keep an eye on what happens today and tomorrow as far as what Damian Williams does in terms of practicing, because if he doesn't participate in practice,
then it's yikes.
Yeah. Who plays? Because doesn't LaShawn...
Darwin Thompson,
Let's get it. That would be lit. Because isn't LaShawn McCoy hurt?
Yeah. I don't know if he's... Hold on, I'll look it up. I don't know how badly it is, though.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I think Damian Williams will probably play, but if he... we'll see what happens. This is for you. This news note, final news note of the podcast. Mark Andrews he missed practice on Wednesday with a foot injury. Are you concerned?
No. We'll see. If I'll only be concerned if he's not playing and not suited up on Sunday. Until then, he can miss any practice he won't.
Why'd you say it like that?
I don't know, bro.
Let's get into our...
It's my fantasy and me talking.
Let's get into our Week 3 matchups. I'm excited about Week 3. You excited about Week 3?
For the most part, yes.
I'm so excited about Week 3.
There's a game or two there that I wish didn't exist, but...
Like what?
Well, let's see. Any game the Dolphins are in?
Any game the Dolphins are in, he says.
No offense, Dolphins fans, but you probably agree with me.
Yep, that's true. Let's start off. I don't think we talked about the Dolphins game because we already talked about it, so there's that. Let's start off with the Ravens at the Chiefs. Right now, the Ravens-Chiefs game, the over-under for that one, I'm quickly...
Oh, boy. It's going to be high, probably.
Is 53.5 right now?
You know what's interesting,
53.5. Some have it at 40. 54. I'm sorry. Not 40. I don't know why I said 40.
As of right now, there's a 97% chance of rain. Could that affect...
I don't think so.
The final score?
It might have a small effect, but...
That actually does scare me.
Rain scares you too much. What has rain affected anything?
I don't know. I was watching the Bengals in Week 1, and Andy Dalton hold the ball.
Oh, God. So let's start off with the Baltimore Ravens really fast. Lamar Jackson, is he a must start this week against Kansas City, or are you nervous about the...
I don't know. I don't think he's going to be doing...
596, 7 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions.
Dude, I know.
What the freaking crap, man?
I don't think he's going to do as good as he did in the first 2 weeks, but he's still a must start.
Obviously, I think Gus Edwards and Justice Hill have no standalone value, but I saw something interesting to say today about Gus Edwards. He leads the team in red zone touches, which is gross. Mark Ingram, is he somebody you start against Kansas City? We'll talk about him a little bit later in terms of whether you should start or sit him, but are you nervous at least a little bit this week?
Yes, I am nervous this week.
Yeah. Marquise Brown, start?
Depends on your what your options are in your league, but
right.
I think he's actually in line for another solid week because I think this will be overall high scoring.
He increased from the basement of 18% or 8 snaps in total in the first game to leading the team in snap share. So for Marquise Brown, he's getting the targets, he's getting the work. It's just a matter of do you think he's going to completely crap the bed as a rookie receiver?
I think eventually this year he's gonna come back down to earth a little bit.
The weird situation that I've talked about with Marquise Brown is the fact that Marquise Brown is the number 1 receiver on the team, and there's no one close.
I mean, it's not
forgetting about Mark Andrews, the number 1 wide receiver on the team. It's not even close.
It's usually never happens that a rookie wide receiver is dominant in fantasy, but it has happened before. And it's usually in situations like this.
Yeah. I did not expect it.
Julio Jones, when he was a rookie, had a top 10 finish as a receiver. I mean, there's been guys before in the past that's done it. It's just it's just very rare.
I feel like it's going to be a strange year because I think we talk about the Redskins a little bit later. Not sure, but Terry McLaurin also having or McLaurin, or however you want to say it, is also having a really, really good season, and it's because he's the main guy. At this point, this is a hard one because the Chiefs' defense has improved, but at the same time, it's it depends on what you have. It still depends. It depends on what you have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not sitting Julio Jones for Hollywood Brown.
And if Mark Andrews starts, he probably if he's in the game, he's a must start at this point. He's the most targeted tight end in that. He's one of the most targeted tight ends in the NFL, and in that offense, he's basically, I would say, the number 1 receiver.
He's currently the number 1 tight end in fantasy through 2 weeks.
Yes, so start him. I don't even want to talk about Mahomes, on pace for 56 touchdowns.
Ridiculous.
You know who else is on pace for 56 touchdowns?
Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Exactly. Mahomes has 821 and 7. He is regressing a little bit, in terms of not being on pace for 89 touchdowns like last year in the first 2 games.
He's only on pace for 57 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's not good.
Mahomes is a must start. This is something I didn't think would happen during the year. We'll see as the season goes along. I think he's going to throw 30 touchdowns locked at this point. Yeah, that's obviously locked. I didn't think he was going to throw 40 touchdowns back to back, and that's why I didn't think he was worth the 3rd, 4th round pick that people were taking him at. We'll see as the season goes along. Mahomes always lights it up at the beginning of the year, and then things start to settle down a little bit.
Well, that's how it was last year.
That's how it was last year, and so he started off slower this year. That might lend it to 41 touchdowns instead of 50. You know what I mean? But Mahomes is a must start. What are you doing with Damian Williams?
If he's playing, I'd probably start him still.
Yep.
Probably because you drafted Damian Williams early.
Yep.
Chances are, and I think again, as I said, as long as you're not super scared by rain, I think it'll be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
So I would start a lot of players in this game.
Yep. I'm just trying to find did we talk about LaShawn McCoy's injury situation? You said you were looking.
Last I looked, I think he missed practice Wednesday, but that's the latest.
He missed the start of practice.
Yes, he didn't participate in the early portion of Wednesday's practice.
Okay. From
an ESPN report. So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But
if Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy don't play,
Darwin Thompson is a must start.
He's like Darwin Thompson. Is he really though? That makes me so nervous.
If McCoy and Damian Williams
desperate,
don't play,
Darwin Thompson. I love Darwin Thompson, but if both of them don't play, imagine.
I don't think one of them will play.
One of them will play, but imagine and then he goes off.
Yeah,
this is exactly how not Jamal Charles. Kareem Hunt won the job. Some guy got cut in the preseason. Somebody else got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, it ended up being. But I don't know if I would start Darwin this week if he was the guy, but it would be close. Which one of these wide receivers do you want? Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, or Demarcus Robinson? Because at this point, I'm not starting any one of them.
I am not starting any of them either, and I've been saying it's going to be a high-scoring game and everything, but I just don't know which receiver is going to go off.
Well, no.
However, if you're playing the odds game, you would say Sammy Watkins this week because he had a bad week last week, and
he was targeted 13 times too. Here's what I would say. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, you told us not to start any of the Chiefs receivers because we don't know what."
If you have to start one,
I'd probably start Sammy.
I would too.
People are going to obsessively freak out. I'm surprised that there hasn't been more overspending on Demarcus Robinson from what I've been seeing. I thought people were going to like overspend for him and then get him. And like, that's what, at least what I was hearing. Mia Cole Hardman, he's a rookie. He's probably not going to have much of an opportunity in this game because Demarcus Robinson is the 2 at this point. And Watkins, after a bad week, I think he's probably the safest bet.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you own a Chiefs wide receiver and you don't have any other receivers, I would start the Chiefs wide receiver. It depends on matchup too. Like legitimate matchup for you in fantasy football. Like who are you playing? Are you going up against a guy who you're gonna lose against? Like it's you're gonna lose. You don't have a chance, and your only chance is a big game that you didn't expect. Then start the Chiefs wide receiver. If you need a safe game, you're like, okay, I'm probably gonna beat this guy this week. I need a safe play. Play the safe guy. Don't go after the boomer bust. There's no reason to do that. That's how you set yourself up for failure. So I would start if out of all of these guys, I would start Watkins, but it literally is so unpredictable because Hardman could break free and score a touchdown. Robinson could break free and score a touchdown, and Watkins could do the same thing.
Yeah, or he could throw to Travis Kelce and Damian Williams all the time too. Like you just don't know.
And then Travis Kelce, must start.
He's a sit, obviously. Both teams coming in at
2-0. I did want to bring this up really fast. If Lamar Jackson goes into Kansas City and beats the Chiefs, does that make like
what are you trying to say here, boss?
I'm trying to figure out how to say it without coming off as a dink. Does that make Lamar Jackson the front runner for MVP this year?
Wow.
You go into Mahomes, the MVP's house, and knock him off.
Through if you can be a front runner through 3 NFL games, then yes, he would be.
He's like, yes, he would be. Let's move on to Bengals at Bills. This is kind of, I would say it's a terrible game. The over-under right now
the Bills
is 44,
are undefeated.
44 points. It opened at 40.5, so that just goes to show you that this is not anticipated to be a very good game.
The Bills are first in the AFC East right now, actually, so what's up with that?
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. So the Bills' defense, believe it or not, is rather what they call stingy. It's a really good defense. Yeah, so far this year is a relatively good defense.
They also got to play the Giants.
That's true. The Bengals have a porous offensive line.
Very bad offensive line. Like top 3 worst in the league.
And then you have Andy Dalton at quarterback, which against Buffalo is a non-start. Like stay away from that. He's at 729 yards, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception on the season, which is not bad.
No.
Wow. If you have John Ross, this is the week you probably should sit him down. Okay. If you have Tyler Boyd, I would roll with Boyd if you have to, but if you have an option to start somebody else that's close in the same conversation as Tyler Boyd, then I would probably start the other guy.
Honestly, I think the Bills are going to win, and I don't know how good Andy Dalton's going to do, but the way they've been playing, I would still start John Ross and Tyler Boyd.
I wouldn't start Ross.
Because I think
what makes Ross not matchup dependent? Like what makes,
because of how much Dalton's been throwing to both of those. Those are the only 2 guys in the offense right now.
Yeah.
And the Bengals are still throwing the ball a decent amount. So I mean, I think Ross.
Right.
I wouldn't be like confident starting Ross. Like again, if you have other options, but I wouldn't full out sit John Ross either.
Right. I would say sit him.
Okay.
You can form your opinion.
Agree to disagree.
You use our opinions to form your own opinions, so you can choose whoever you want to agree.
And then blame the other one.
Yeah, that's true.
They go wrong.
I think that there's only, like, John Ross has had 2 good weeks in a row, and there's only so much more that he can do. You know, the stupid part, I'll probably end up starting him in one of my leagues. And then Eifert non-start. But I think this is the last thing on the Bengals, I think this is a massive game for Joe Mixon. Not in terms of what I think he's going to do in the game, in terms of if he doesn't perform, There will be a mass exit. There will be leagues that drop Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
And people are like, no one would drop Joe Mixon. Some people would drop. If you're smart, you sell Joe Mixon. But
he gets 2 points, 4 points, and 4 points. Like, let's say he gets 4 points this week.
Yeah.
Again. There will be teams dropping.
Dang. He's been putrid. Like, awful. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just the offensive line.
Even, but like, so if you owned Joe Mixon.
Well, he's averaging. You know what he's averaging right now? 1.9 yards a carry.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. But if you own Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
I know you don't own him in. I don't know if you own him in any leagues.
I want to own him.
We're in. Well, not only that, but if you did currently own Joe Mixon and he has another bad week.
Yeah. You
said try to sell him. Can you even do that? Because what would you get?
I was saying.
At that point, you're forced to keep him, right?
Well, if you're smart, if you don't just drop him because somebody's
no, don't drop him.
Yeah, don't like that. That's what I was trying to get at. Not necessarily that you should sell him now. If I was the Joe Mixon owner, I would hold on to him because at some point,
I would too. Yeah,
Joe Mixon's talent is good enough to start.
I probably wouldn't be starting him though anymore.
No, not until he starts playing well. He has also had a relatively tough start to the season in terms of schedule. So
correct.
It is a little bit like if you start off this bad, like what is the actual expectation for him when he starts playing Joe Mixon?
Yeah.
Like that level of football, like what is the expectation for Joe Mixon? Does he perform at a high level or is he like an RB2 average? You know what I mean? Does he average RB2 numbers in terms of week to week?
That's the question that...
Because he's not going to finish as an RB1 this year.
Oh,
unless he absolutely goes off. Like for the next 14 weeks, he goes absolutely bonkers and freaking destroys everyone. I don't know. But I would not be starting Joe Mixon this week.
No, I wouldn't either.
I would sit him on your bench, try to find a replacement for him, and then hope he plays well.
Yeah, that's, at this point, that's
last week could have been the last time you started him. Josh Allen has been okay to start the season. Mm-hmm. I think this is the week Josh Allen comes out, has a big week.
Oh, wow.
This is your last chance to get Josh Allen. I'm telling you right now, this is your last chance to get Josh Allen before you have to put a bid on him because he's going to have a big week this week and everyone's going to go crazy and start throwing tons of waiver budget at him and some guy's going to get him. This is your chance right now to snag Josh Allen before he gets really big. He has 507 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the season, which is relatively mediocre.
But for fantasy,
it's so Josh Allen.
Yeah,
it's so Josh Allen.
He's like the definition of a fantasy good quarterback, reality not great quarterback.
Yep. It's a good matchup for Josh Allen, though. He should do well this week. We were talking about earlier the Devin Singletary, Frank Gore situation. If Singletary does not play, Frank Gore is a safe start against Cincinnati. He's going to get the work. If you need a starter in your flex, I would say snag Frank Gore.
Oh, especially if Singletary,
especially if Singletary's not in, I'm not starting Frank Gore.
But if Singletary is playing,
if he is playing,
I wouldn't start Frank Gore either. But if Singletary does not play this week, Frank Gore becomes almost a must start. I think like he's gonna he's gonna get like 20 plus touches.
It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're gonna be watching the game and he's gonna get 3 yards a carry and you're gonna be so disgusted.
He's gonna have like 80 yards on 25 carries for a touchdown.
So he has 30 attempts this year for 88 yards. So Frank Gore.
Yeah.
Obviously Yeldon has no attempts, no yards, and no touchdowns. So he's basically worthless at this point. But yeah, it's between Singletary and Frank Gore. And if Singletary doesn't play, Frank Gore is going to get a majority of that work. And so I would just say start Frank Gore against Cincinnati. It's a great matchup.
Right.
They have John Brown, Cole Beasley, Zay Jones. None of them are startable.
John Brown.
John Brown might be good, but some people even dropped him this week because he went off week 1, 21 points, and then this past week he was...
How many points did he get this week?
He was meh. I don't remember. But he has 14 receptions, 195 yards, and a touchdown. He's not bad, but he's not startable. I don't even think he's worth a roster spot at this point to me.
Really?
Yeah.
He had 7 catches for 72 yards.
I mean, maybe against Cincinnati, he would.
I'm just saying, bro. He had 8 targets.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really a huge fan of him.
I think he's got a very good... I would start him.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
He went from no to starting him. Let's move on to the Raiders, who are 1-1, and the Vikings, who are 1-1.
Oh, this is totally a great game to watch. There's a lot of like crappy football games this week.
Yeah, that's true. The over/under is 43.5. Man, that is an ugly game. That is so gross.
Is there any, like, Josh Jacobs is, I think, probably a must start.
I'm trying to find that game.
I would say Josh Jacobs is like.
Josh Jacobs is probably.
I don't think he's gonna have a good week though.
Against Minnesota though, let's. Hold on, I'll go back in time. You continue saying what.
I think Josh Jacobs is gonna have like a very average week. I don't think he's gonna.
He had 22 points in week 1, 9 points in week 2.
In Minnesota, I think is a tough matchup for him.
Minnesota last week gave up 23 fantasy points and half PPR to Aaron Jones. The week before that,
it was Devontae Freeman, and he got like 2 points.
Egged it, so they're going to give the ball to Jacobs a lot.
Like,
I'm not like at this point, but just because of the workload, I'm not afraid of Josh Jacobs.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think he's a start. I just don't think he's going to have a great week.
No, it'll probably be an uglier week. He's not really averaging great. He's having a decent rookie campaign so far, but
no, he's been solid
in terms of averages. Just like I don't know, he's not a sexy player yet. Derek Carr is a sit. If you had any idea of starting him, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, but
Tyrell Williams has got a tough matchup. Darren Waller and Tyrell Williams both have a tough matchup this week. Are you considering sitting like either one? Like obviously Tyrell Williams is probably
he's a sit.
He's a sit, but if you have Darren Waller, are you benching him?
We'll get to that later.
Okay, interesting. And then as far as the other side, Kirk Cousins has been bad this year.
Yeah, he has not been good.
Picking
off right where he left off.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the fact that he's bad; it's the fact that
they're not throwing the ball a lot
throwing
either.
The football.
Yeah. But he hasn't been great either when they have.
This is like maybe a start of the week for Dalvin Cook.
Oh yeah.
Like for us, like we like to choose guys that aren't obvious starts. So
yeah,
he's not on our list this week, but he literally could be the
RB1
number
this
one
week.
running back.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Zeke playing against Miami.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Like there's a real chance.
It's gonna be those two, I think.
I don't know if Zeke might get 3 touchdowns this week. That's how bad Miami Dolphins are.
It's very possible.
But Dalvin Cook is about as safe as a start as you can get this week.
Are you willing to start one of Diggs or Thielen?
No, not at all.
Wow. I'd actually
against Oakland, I would normally say yes, but
the way they've played,
their entire offense, it just
through 2 weeks they have combined for 11 catches between the two of them.
Wow,
that is not
Kirk Cousins. I'm trying to find
Diggs has 3. Diggs played last week, right? Yeah, he caught a touchdown.
Yeah, he was targeted 7 times. That's crazy that he was targeted 7 times in the game. I can't.
Yeah. He should have had another catch too, right?
Yeah, a touchdown catch in the end zone that was called back. First game of the season, Kirk Cousins had 10 attempts.
Oh.
Last week he had 34 attempts.
Ooh.
32 attempts, forgive me.
And threw 2 picks.
And he threw 2 picks, but he had a 43% completion percentage.
Gosh.
Green Bay's defense is looking pretty potent. I'll be honest.
It is.
So
Kirk Cousins is kind of.
If they throw it 32 times.
If you have Thielen on your team, you probably drafted him in the 3rd round. I would actually start him this week.
Yeah, because for one more week, and then if the target share is not there,
because it's against Oakland too. Like if he doesn't if him and Diggs don't do well against Oakland,
right?
They're not gonna. You hit the panic button on those guys,
right?
Because this is the week to do it.
Right. Yeah, for me, I've sat Diggs the last 2 weeks, so
you're gonna make it 3, aren't you?
I'm gonna make. Oh yeah. No, I started him week 1 and he got me 4 points. Last week I started him. I benched him. This week he'll probably sit for me. I just don't. I'm not a huge fan of the Vikings passing game right now. Jets at Patriots. Do we even need to talk about any portion?
Would you start Le'Veon Bell?
I would start Bell. Yeah. I would. He's going to get, if he gets 50 yards in the game and he gets targeted. He gets 10 catches like he did against freaking.
I think that might happen. Like he's going to get.
He's still going to get 10 to 15 fantasy points. Like that is how much they've been using Bell lately, and it's like it's just crazy.
Right.
This is going to be an absolute freaking hammer.
Do you start Antonio Brown this week?
I don't even know what the over/under is. I don't know if I want to know what the over.
Yeah.
It's probably like 48.5 right now. It started out as a 48 over/under. Now it's a 43.5.
The Patriots, I think, and the Cowboys are 20+ point favorites this week.
Wow.
That's
how bad the Jets are. Well, the Jets aren't.
They
should be better, but they don't have their mans.
They don't even have their backup.
Sam Darnold is reported to not be back until week 5, by the way.
Which is sooner than expected, actually.
Luke Falk is their starting quarterback.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Yeah, so I would start Bell. Everyone else is non-start just because they don't have Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Like Jamison Crowder was one of the pickups of the week for us 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. And now he's not even in the realm. He has 18 catches already on the year. It's so gross.
No,
it's so gross. 18 catches, 139
I'm telling you, in PPR leagues, when Darnold comes back, he's going to be an actual option to start every
He might
week.
catch 100 balls.
Yeah.
Might catch 100 balls.
He's going to be one of those underrated PPR wide receivers.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
But until Darnold comes back, he's still not. He's not good.
Are you this week? This is a kind of a lot of people are going to think this is a non-question, but I would say that it is because Tom Brady is 41 years old. Is Tom Brady? Would you consider benching Tom Brady this week for a guy like maybe Josh Allen against Cincinnati?
That's tough. I think I would start Josh Allen against Cincinnati versus Brady.
I can't it's not that the Jets defense is good. It's that the Patriots want to run
the Jets
ball
defense
more
is
often
actually pretty solid.
Oh yeah, they have Jamal Adams. They have a lot of really good players defensively. I'm saying that they're probably going to want to run the football a lot more.
I think Brady is going to be.
He'll be decent,
top 12,
but I think he'll probably get like
this week.
17 or 18 fantasy points.
Yeah, I could.
Last week he had like 15, but it was thrown over the top because of the rushing touchdown and the trash time. He
had a trash time touchdown and a QB sneak.
So
I think he'll get like
15 is probably where I would sit him. It's 15 to 18.
I was going to say 15 to 20, so about the same.
I would bench Brady this week.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about you guys, but
there's like 10 other quarterbacks I'd rather start this week than Brady.
Yeah. Sony Michel and James White, which one?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, okay. Honestly. Well,
James White is
standard, not James White.
Yeah.
In PPR and half PPR, I'd start both.
Now, if Brown starts, he's an obvious go.
Yep.
Keep an eye on the situation with
I'd still start Edelman.
You'd still start Edelman?
Yep.
Josh Gordon, don't even bother. It's funny, I look at the tight end, is literally Matt LaCosse. Don't even know who that is. It's funny how they go from having the best tight end in football
to the worst.
Yeah. Lions at Eagles.
This is an actual matchup that I wouldn't mind watching.
Why? Because Carry-On's in it?
No, because it's two teams that are half decent, at least hopefully.
This is going to be an interesting game to see how they utilize Carry-On.
It is, yeah.
If they utilize Carry-On a lot, I think he has... If they utilize him like a workhorse, a 3-down back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that Carry-On becomes an instant start every week and a potential RB1. But I think any other way... I know I said earlier I think he's just going to be an RB2 this year, and I still believe that because I think the Lions are that dumb. Kenny Golladay, I would start him against Philly. They haven't been great against the passing game so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
So and it doesn't look like Marvin Jones and Danny Amendola. Like Hawk stole a lot of Kenny Galladay's work week 1.
Yep.
But I think Kenny Golladay is here to stay, and if you have him, I would start him.
Yeah, I think for me this week, Kenny Galladay's obviously start. I think Carry-On's obviously start. Do you consider starting TJ, the Hawk?
No.
Okay. I probably don't start him either. But
he had 1 fantasy point last week.
I know.
Carson Wentz.
I just really want the Hawk to succeed, man.
Carson Wentz is a must start against the Lions, I think. Maybe not.
Yes, I think
you'd start him.
I don't know if he's a must start, but yeah, I would definitely start him.
It looks like the Eagles RBBC is in full force. 21 attempts for Miles Sanders through 2 weeks, 14 attempts for Jordan Howard through 2 weeks, and 9 attempts for Darren Sproles through 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it looks like they are splitting snaps pretty evenly. I think at some point this year, Miles Sanders is going to take over.
At some point, but it's a matter of when.
Yeah, it'll be like similar to the Nick Chubb situation because Miles Sanders hasn't been great in the situations he's been given. So I And there's no wide receivers. Their wide receivers are basically dead. Deshaun Jackson's out. Alshon Jeffrey's probably going to miss this week. Nelson Aguilar is the starting wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles this week, the third wide receiver on the team. So, if Jeffrey does miss this week, it's going to be a tough week for Carson Wentz. And then Zach Ertz must start.
Yep.
Let's move on to our next matchup. Panthers at Cardinals, Sunday at 4:00.
Man, another game I totally want to watch.
Don't play Cam Newton, that's for sure.
Is there any starts? David Johnson and McCaffrey.
David Johnson and McCaffrey, yeah.
Is there anyone else? Do you start Christian Kirk?
No.
Do you start Fitzgerald?
Maybe. No.
You start DJ Moore?
No.
Curtis Samuel?
I did want to note this on DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel while they're in conversation. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are not starts, and they're not anywhere close to... They shouldn't be touching your lineup unless Cam Newton is back to full health, because...
Or Will Greer comes in and just dominates.
Yeah, well, he's not going to start. It's going to be Kyle Allen.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, the undrafted rookie. Not undrafted. I always want to say undrafted rookie free agent. Don't know why I want to say that. The undrafted player, quarterback,
over
whatever.
Will Greer?
Yes, they're going to start him over Will Greer because they said he's not ready. I'm so mad about that. I'm like, you idiots, you clowns. Just start Will Greer. What have you got to lose? Oh, confidence. Just start him. Oh, the NFL. I can't.
That'd be so.
I feel like
bozo of a decision if they did that.
I feel like coaches so overthink everything they do.
Sometimes I think so.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I would say that DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, sit them until Cam Newton is back to full health. I would maybe start Greg Olsen this week.
No,
you wouldn't against.
Not if they got that. What was his name?
Greg Olsen has been he's been a top target and he's always open for some reason.
Yeah, but what's the quarterback's name that they might be playing this week
Kyle
instead
Allen.
of Cam Newton?
Yeah, that's true. If Cam Newton starts, Greg Olsen's maybe.
If Cam Newton starts, then
I would sit Murray against Carolina just because of it's going to be a tough matchup for Murray.
It is a tough matchup,
and he's been actually relevant fantasy wise, but he's just not. He's not a great start for the week. I would start Fitzgerald and David Johnson.
You would start Fitzgerald.
No, I wouldn't start Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I would start David Johnson. I wouldn't start Fitzgerald. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that.
I think the only starts this week are McCaffrey and David Johnson, and then Greg Olsen, maybe if Cam Newton plays.
Right. Giants at Buccaneers, Sunday at 4:00.
Wow, man, these games are just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, they are kind of trash. Don't. There are going to be a lot of people that run out there and snag Daniel Jones thinking he's going to be a great start against Tampa. Don't do that. Barkley is the only start in the Barkley and Ingram are probably the only starts in the Giants offense. Is there anything particularly on the Giants side that you're looking for besides Daniel Jones?
Maybe how he uses Evan Ingram.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
of the weapons, like
if Daniel Jones is in this thing for the long haul, then I would definitely see how he uses Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's the main target.
See if he drops it down to Barkley too. I mean, that doesn't really matter because Barkley's gonna get his points, but it'll still be interesting, like small things like that.
Yeah.
But overall, is Evan Ingram a start for you this week? I actually say he probably is.
Yeah, I would start Evan Ingram. He's a top 5 tight end. You got to ride him.
Right.
At this point. I mean, if he sucks, he sucks. It is what it is. I like Evan Ingram. He's the number 1 target, but for some reason he just can't.
Well, because he's on the Giants. But
yeah, that's true. Jameis Winston. Wow. I just sneezed. Jameis Winston.
Well, bless you.
He had 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The 3 interceptions and most of the trashy statistical averages for him were because of the game 1. He had a much better second game. He's not good in fantasy right now.
No.
Is this guy worth a look maybe if he has a good game this week?
If he has a good game this week.
This is a good matchup. So this could be the I'm here, I don't suck game where he could get 30 fantasy points.
Who did the Giants play last week again? Why am I blanking on this?
No idea. I can't keep track anymore.
I gotta look this up now. But because it's gonna be, I want to see what they gave up to quarterback last week.
Right.
Because that'll be interesting for me to see. Let's see. The Giants last week played the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen had 23 fantasy points last week. So I mean,
Winston might be a safe play this week if you need to stream a quarterback and he's on your waiver wire.
Yep.
I would think he's a streamable option, but I don't know that he's on your waiver wire yet because people are they drafted him. They're probably waiting to see how he plays out. Week 3 and 4 are going to be massive weeks for fantasy teams because that's when people are going to be like, I don't want this guy anymore, and then they're going to drop him, and that's when you're going to have to take advantage of the situation. Right. Ronald Jones is a guy, and Peyton Barber are kind of two guys that I'm watching. Peyton Barber got more snaps last week and more work last week, significantly more work than Ronald Jones. It looks like they're going in the direction of Peyton Barber. So if that's the case, Rojo is dead.
Yep, Rojo's dead at that point.
Godwin and Mike Evans are both starts against the Giants. This is a juicy matchup for Chris Godwin. If Godwin outperforms Mike Evans again, oh my word.
If that happens 3 straight weeks.
The insanity that is going to ensue on Twitter in the fantasy football world is going to be crazy. There are going to be people calling for Chris Godwin to be the number 1 wide receiver in Tampa, and they already started. You're not starting OJ Howard, I'm assuming.
No.
After long thought.
No.
Let's move on to our next game. The 1-1 Texans take on the 1-1 Chargers.
Hey, finally we got a good game
in Los Angeles at 4:00.
So it's interesting that one of these teams will be 1-2 after this week.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be I think the Chargers are going to win this game.
Okay.
But we'll see. Now, Deshaun Watson coming off a 12-point week. And the Chargers defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's going to get 12 again, but I don't see him.
He struggled running the football in that game, too.
Yeah.
Like he
never plays well against Jacksonville, though. Jacksonville's a team
That's great. So you got 2 bus games for the year.
Yeah. He's not getting 30, but do you bench him?
No.
That's what. Yeah.
Roll with Watson. He's the number 2 quarterback in Well, a lot of things have changed over the last couple weeks, but as he was drafted as the number 2 quarterback in fantasy, I would start him this week. Now, if he has another bad game, that's when you can start considering. Like, don't drop him outright.
Deshaun Watson? No, because he had 30 in week 1.
No, he had 30 in week 1. If he goes out and has another 12-point game, then probably pick somebody up and think about. I don't know what the matchup is next week, but do you start Duke Johnson or Carlos Hyde in this matchup? No. Because you
in standard league, I would consider starting.
Carlos Hyde. Draft night.
Yeah,
and we got the news Lamar Miller hurt himself. And what did you do in the 7th round?
Duke Johnson.
You drafted Duke Johnson. I'm not talking to the fantasy football community that we're speaking to right now. I'm talking to you.
Okay.
You drafted Duke Johnson.
I did.
Mistake or no mistake?
It was a mistake.
Yeah. Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde both are not great.
It was a mistake.
He's like, yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah. What did Duke Johnson have last week? 3 fantasy points? Something like that.
He would have had a touchdown if Deshaun Watson didn't throw the ball 20 yards over his head wide open.
I don't disagree with that statement. There's a lot of players I do the same exact thing with. If Diggs had only caught that touchdown pass the second time around. But Duke Johnson is don't start him. Don't start Carlos Hyde. It's not the Chargers matchup. It's that neither one of them at this point is a good running back, right? And a lot of people would disagree with that. They'll be like, "Oh my god," and then they'll probably do well this week, and we'll be wrong. But this is one of the teams I think would go after Kenyon Drake at this point.
Houston, maybe a cheap option.
Will Fuller, Kiki Kuti, and those two. Kiki Kuti, no, but Will Fuller is he a thought? Somebody you're thinking about?
No.
Okay, all right. Wherever is against Houston, I would say no. Passing attacks never usually work against Houston. The running game is usually where Houston has trouble.
Yep.
So Austin Eckler
again
might have a big day again.
This should be Melvin Gordon getting these numbers.
This says the guy that drafted Melvin Gordon.
That's what I'm saying.
Keenan Allen's a must start. Austin Eckler, obvious must start. I wouldn't start Mike Williams this week.
It'd probably just be those two.
Those two. Mike Williams has been a large disappointment early in the season.
Yeah.
With Hunter Henry out,
I could see him having a good week though this week.
Mike Williams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't start him. But
is this the first game with Hunter Henry out? Fully out?
No, he
was he out Sunday? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he did not play Sunday.
And then they picked up Lance Kendricks, the ex-Patriot, for tight ends. Virgil Green and Lance Kendricks.
Totally a fantasy option.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Steelers at the 49ers at 4 o'clock. We're getting a lot of 4 o'clock games this week. But Steelers, 49ers. Mason Rudolph gets his first career start.
I'm actually going to be watching
this tough pass defense. James Conner looks like he's going to play. I don't know what's going to happen with Mason Rudolph. There's a lot of people picking up Mason Rudolph right now. In Dynasty leagues, fully acceptable. In 16-team leagues, fully acceptable. In 2 quarterback leagues, might be acceptable. In 1 quarterback, 10, 12-team leagues, do not pick up Mason. They're like so desperate for quarterbacks. They're like, I'm picking up Mason Rudolph.
And Deshaun Watson had 12 points this week. Let him
have a good week first and then pick him up. Like, I mean, I guess there's a lot of people that want to rolls of the punch first, but valuable roster space is not.
I picked up this dude named Mason Rudolph. He got 16 fantasy points for me. Didn't see that coming, did you?
James Conner is a start if he's in the game. This is a big game for James Conner as well because if he doesn't perform, he's going to be in the same conversation. Not in the same conversation as Joe Mixon because Joe Mixon has been awful, but
San Fran has actually played pretty well against the run, though.
They've been playing pretty well defensively in general.
Right.
So,
well, the Nick Bosa addition this offseason was good. Very good.
Jalen Samuels has been a sneak pickup in case James Conner doesn't play, but it looks like Connor's going to play, so I would do that. Juju and James Washington is not a start this week against San Fran, but apparently, so Mason Rudolph and James Washington played in college at the same time, so they have a connection, I guess.
Do they play together in the same school?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they already have what they call a connection. In the preseason, they had a really good connection. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, James Washington's going to be really good." I don't think he's worth starting against the 49ers this week, but if he does show that he's going to get a lot of targets from Mason Rudolph this week, he might be somebody against an easier opponent worth a start. Yeah. Juju is obviously a must start. I would keep an eye on Juju. He has been okay
with Ben Roethlisberger.
What was interesting is that when Big Ben went down, Juju Smith-Schuster's target share jumped from 12 to 14% with Big Ben to 26.5% with Mason Rudolph.
That's interesting.
So Mason Rudolph, well, I think Big Ben was like, we have Moncrief, we have James Washington, there's no more AB, I got to spread the ball around. I think he was overthinking it. I think Rudolph, being a rookie, is going to say, who are the 2 guys I'm most comfortable throwing to in this offense?
I think it's going
to be Juju. No, I think it'll be Juju and McDonald.
Oh, okay.
McDonald had 4 or 5 targets.
If you're going by that, and he's played, I didn't know he played
with James Washington. James Washington will be at 2, but Juju is going to be the main focus in this offense. Didn't change. I want to see if Rudolph can actually play because if Rudolph can't get them in the red zone, Juju's value will take a significant hit. But if this guy's throwing 2 touchdowns a game,
it looks pretty good. Then
I'm all right with not starting Mason Rudolph, starting Juju. He start Juju this week. See what happens. He's going to get his 10, 12 targets. He's going to
start Jimmy Garoppolo this week
against Steelers.
Yes,
they just got Minka Fitzpatrick from the Miami Dolphins.
That's actually a very good pickup.
So I would.
Is he playing this week though?
What? Who?
Fitzpatrick.
I don't know yet. I would say yes.
I think
for Jimmy G.
Okay.
For now, we'll see what happens. Breida had 27% of the snap share or maybe it was 31%. I can't remember. But he had a 25 to 32% snap share, and Raheem Mostert had 40 to 50. So if you have either one of these guys, are you considering starting them? I know the Matt Breida owners are probably like, we're going to start Breida.
Actually, like at a flex spot, I would consider both guys. Like if I had one of them on my team for this week in half PPR,
because they're going to split.
In standard, probably not.
They were so good last week together.
But is Tevin Coleman coming back this week?
No,
he's not.
No, he's not coming back till next week. Probably.
Okay. So if Tevin Coleman doesn't play this week, then I think both guys are good flex options. Honestly,
Deebo Samuel had a good week last week. I would keep an eye on Deebo. Dante Pettis owners and truthers like myself are being crushed in the soul right now. I don't think they really want to move forward with Dante Pettis. George Kittle must start. He's been average. Look for him to have a bounce back week at some point.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to talk about on that game, or are we going to move to the Saints?
I just want to watch Jimmy G.
Oh, boy. Saints at Seahawks Sunday at 4 o'clock. This is a relatively interesting game. Now, earlier today, the Saints came out and they were asking questions, and they said, how are you going to use Taysom Hill this week?
Yeah.
You know, are you going to bring him in to play a little bit of quarterback as the number 2 quarterback? And he said, who said he's going to be the number 2 quarterback? So there is a chance that Taysom Hill starts this game as the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. I don't think it's going to happen, but
no.
TJ, wow, why did that even come up? Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill are probably both going to be utilized at some point in this offense in this game.
Yes.
Neither one are worth any kind of consideration.
No.
I do believe we talked about earlier this week, Alvin Kamara takes a hit. Latavius Murray takes the biggest hit of all. I think he's going to absolutely be trash. He's not worth until Drew Brees gets back. Michael Thomas.
I don't think Michael Thomas is going to have a great week this week either.
Yeah, he probably won't, matchup. But he's still going to get his 13
Yeah,
targets.
he'll still get
he'll probably get like 80 yards and like 7 catches, but so I would start Michael Thomas. You kind of have to. Don't start Jared Cook. Keep him out of your lineups.
Do not start Jared.
What about the Seahawks game? I mean, not the Seahawks game. The Seahawks.
Chris Carson must start, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you start Russell Wilson this week?
No.
Why'd you say it like that?
Yeah, I got to start him. I got to start Russell Wilson. Yeah. Yes, he's not playing bad this year. He's efficient. He's always efficient.
I was just going to say.
Tyler Lockett finally got some targets this week, too.
Like, he's not playing bad this year. This is what Russell Wilson does. I don't think he ever gets 30 fantasy points in a game.
Yep.
Ever. But he always gets like 15 to like 25. He's always a startable quarterback. And I think this week he's very startable. The Saints gave up like 30 to Deshaun Watson in week 1.
Yeah.
And then last week they gave up 20 to Jared Goff. So I could see Wilson getting another 20 to 25 point week this week.
Yeah, definitely. Metcalf, keep an eye on him. Lockett's probably going to get good work.
Definitely start Tyler Lockett.
Don't start Will Dissly, please. He had a 20-point week last week. Don't. Yeah, I'll get excited. Awesome. Don't start Will Dissly.
Yep.
There are people who are going to pick him up and start him this week, and I can't with that. Rams at Browns, Sunday Night Football. The Browns are 1-1. The Rams are 2-0. This is a tough game for the Brownies.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Goff on the road. Don't start him. Gurley and Malcolm Brown, watch that split. Gurley has been getting 65 to 70% of the workload, but it's been kind of an awkward split. It's going to be a tough situation to go through. Continually keep an eye on how they utilize Gurley, because if he went from 70% snap share to 67% snap share, so as he continues to drop every week, be concerned. But
it's people will probably look at this matchup and think it's going to be like a crazy high-flying, high-scoring game. I actually think this could be like a dogfight where it's kind of low-scoring, which isn't great for fantasy.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Not low scoring, but like low 20s type game.
Yep.
So I don't see like I don't love Goff this week. I don't like Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, man, through 2 weeks has been
I'm
so
not starting
disappointing.
Baker Mayfield. I'm keeping him out of my lineups this week.
Yeah, you're obviously not starting Mayfield.
Yep.
I don't feel great about Todd Gurley this week too, honestly. I mean, obviously,
I'm gonna be honest with you too. I was thinking about it earlier today. I don't feel great about Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, or Robert Woods.
I don't feel great about any of those guys.
I'm gonna get the over/under for you.
Other than Odell and Nick Chubb, do you feel good about any other Browns player like Landry or?
Right now, the over/under is 49.5.
Right. I think it might be under.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be a bad game. I think
it'll be like a 21-24 type game.
The Ram of the week, wide receiver, pick one.
Hold on. Hey Siri, which Rams wide receiver will score 20 points this week? None of them, but if you have to start one, I'd say Robert Woods. Thanks, Siri. I'd probably say, yeah.
Nick Chubb, start. Odell Beckham, start. Landry, maybe. No, probably not. David Njoku, don't start. Anything else that you want to say on the Browns? Yeah.
No, you don't start anyone unless it's Chubb or Odell.
And then the Monday Night Football, Bears at Washington Redskins. Mitch Trubisky has been garbage this year. He shouldn't even be on your team. Montgomery played a lot better last week. Had 20-something touches.
Yeah.
And it was most of them. I think you probably on a week-to-week basis will probably get 15 to 16 touches. But he's starting to get more of the workload. He's starting to get more of the situation, like the touches, and it's he's just not startable for me at this point. Not yet. I think in like 3 weeks, maybe, if they start giving him the ball as a workhorse, similar to how Jordan Howard played in that system. He was good last week, 13 fantasy points, scored a touchdown, but just keep an eye on how he's utilized in this game. I would not start him this week. Cohen might be a start, but he's been spotty at best. Yeah. And don't start Robinson. I hate to say that, but
yeah,
against Washington, maybe.
No, the only guy I'm starting this week is Montgomery. That's it.
He's the only guy you would start?
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't start Montgomery.
You wouldn't?
No, I said that. I wouldn't start Montgomery. Not yet.
Okay.
I think the 21 touches are a little bit outweighed because he only had like 47% of the snaps.
All right.
And like 5 of his touches came at the goal line when they were trying to force it in with him. And then as far as Case Keenum's been playing a lot better than what
he's been balling.
601 yards, 5 touchdowns.
He's playing against Bears though.
Yeah, that's true. Bears D, I don't start anyone. Don't start Adrian Peterson. I know you want to. I know you're feeling like it. Chris Thompson, don't start. McLaren is going to be... All the people who picked up McLaren this week are going to get a terrible game from Terry McLaren.
And drop him again.
And then they're going to drop him. And that is your perfect opportunity to go pick him up for absolutely nothing.
Playing against the Bears.
Yeah, playing against the Bears.
This is a awful Monday Night Football game. This is going to be like 16 to 13. Like, it's going to be
Why
a
did
really
they put so many,
game.
like, the Chicago Bears on so many night games?
Because people, I don't know.
Quickly, let's move into our starts and sits of the week. We're just going to rapid fire our starts and give a quick little blurb as to why we're doing it. My start at quarterback for the week is Dak Prescott versus the Miami Dolphins. Some people would still would consider not starting Dak Prescott for some reason, and I would start Dak from here until the foreseeable future.
Especially against Miami.
Against Miami. Who's your quarterback?
Mine is actually somebody we talked about earlier, and it's Carson Wentz. I think I understand that the injuries are a thing, but at home, I could see a big bounce back week. Yeah. If Alshon Jeffrey doesn't play, I think things might change, but I think he will play.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like Carson Wentz is in due for a big week.
My sit of the week at quarterback is Jared Goff against Cleveland. He's in Cleveland on the road. I'm going to tell you to sit Goff every time he's on the road. Every time.
Yep.
And if he has a big game, I will take that. I will take the lump on that.
So far, it's been true, too. He had a good week, 20 points at home, and then on the road, he got like 12
on the road.
For me, it's Kyler Murray on the road. I want to root for Kyler Murray. I am rooting for Kyler Murray. And I think he's actually been doing okay to start the season. But I just don't love his matchup. He's at home, but it's against Carolina, who has been very good against defense.
Breaking news.
David Njoku suffered a wrist injury Monday night that could require surgery, according to sources. Njoku is getting additional medical options to find out if surgery is necessary and how many weeks he'll be out.
Oh.
Interesting. So I will take my sit of the week at tight end off this list. He probably will not play this week. Continue with what you were
every
saying.
time you hit that breaking news,
it scares you.
Not only does it scare me, but then after I get over the fact that it shocked me, I think, is Melvin Gordon signing?
Stop. What were you saying?
The life of a Melvin Gordon fantasy owner. I was just saying with Kyler Murray, he's up against Carolina this week. They held Jameis Winston to a poor week last week, and the week before, Jared Goff, I think, had like 10 to 12 points. Winston wasn't that bad last week, but he wasn't great either. So he's up against another tough matchup. He had 16 last week in Baltimore. I could see him kind of doing the same thing, which isn't worth the start.
Running back, for me, start of the week at running back is Marlon Mack versus Atlanta. Marlon Mack had a bad week last week. You're probably thinking, as a Marlon Mack owner, what do I do? Do I start him? Do I sit him? No, you start him against Atlanta. He's going to have a bounce back week. He'll be all right. My sit of the week at running back is Mark Ingram at Kansas City. Kansas City's rush defense and pass defense has been a lot better this year. They've held running backs to very low totals in terms of fantasy points. So for Mark Ingram, he's a guy that you don't want in your lineup this week. I would sit him. And if he ends up having a big game, I will take the lump on that.
For me, for the running backs, I'm actually going to... You might be very surprised who I'm going to say start here, but it is start him or sit him. So it's kind of a coin flip. I'm actually saying start Sony Michel this week. He hasn't had a great start to the season.
Sony.
The reason why I say this is because I think the Patriots are going to demolish the Jets. It feels like I think Sony's probably going to get another 20. He had 21 carries last week against the Dolphins. I think that's going to happen again this week. He's going to get 20-plus carries to me, and if he does that, he's in line for like a 15 to 20 point week, which is very solid. And then my sit this week is actually Derrick Henry. Thursday night football game against the Jaguars.
That's a hot take.
Another hot take. I know he's been fantastic this year.
You love the hot takes.
And I've actually did a 180 before the season started and said I like Derrick Henry this year.
I still don't.
I think he's going to be kind of the workhorse.
He averages such trash, like yards per carry, but
he had 5.5 last week against Colts.
Oh, good. Good for him.
But in week 1 he only had 4. So, but in week
only had 4.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably end at like 4.1, which is kind of, it's okay. That's like, meh.
Anyway, but this week it's in Jacksonville. I know last time he was playing Jacksonville, he destroyed them. But you could also use that as fuel for Jacksonville's point of view, as they're not going to let that happen again. Right. I think all the focus is going to be in Derrick Henry in this game, just stopping him. It's also a Thursday night football game where they're super crappy most of the time, low-scoring games. It'll be in Jacksonville, too, so I could see that being hard for him.
Yeah.
For me, I know it's tough, but Derrick Henry is actually the sit-em this week. I think he's going to disappoint some teams.
I am going to say my start of the week at wide receiver is Chris Godwin versus the New York Giants.
Okay.
I'm going to take Chris Godwin. I think it's a juicy matchup. The Giants are trash, and I think that he should have a really good week. My sit is John Ross against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense has been really good, and John Ross is going to be a guy that you're going to think, "Oh, here we go, saddle up the ponies, start him this week. I need a good week from him." Don't trust John Ross to have a good week this week. If you have a Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver, I would be starting Tyler Boyd. If you have John Ross, I don't start John Ross this week.
Yeah, I have an it's semi-hot take. My sit of the week, I'm going to start with sit first, is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, to me,
it's not a hot take.
Yeah, I know. I after I said that, I was like,
You told everyone that he was going to bust at the beginning of the year, and you're just going to put him as your bust wide receiver every single week.
Hey, this is the first week I've done it, I think, okay? Brandon Cooks, for me this week against Cleveland, I said it earlier that I don't think it's going to be a crazy high-scoring game. And I don't see Brandon Cooks being affected by that in a good way.
Right.
So I could see Brandon Cooks only getting like 4 catches this week for like 50 or 60 yards and end up being a bust. And my start is Amari Cooper, similar to what you were saying about Dak. Like they're playing Miami. They're going to just absolutely demolish them. I think Cooper's in line for at least 1 touchdown this week against the Dolphins.
My start of the week at tight end really quickly, Greg Olsen against Arizona. Arizona has been porous against tight ends. They've given up in the first 2 weeks of the season a lot of fantasy points to tight ends, so I would start Greg Olsen if you have the opportunity. Now, the quarterback situation is a little bit concerning if Kyle Allen does start, but I think he's going to be more of a dump-off guy and a safety blanket for a young quarterback.
Okay.
And then the sit of the week for me is TJ Hcokenson against Philly. He had a bad week last week. Don't ride the Hawk anymore. I told you all to ride the Hawk on Twitter. Don't ride the Hawk.
Oh, I want to, though. For me, my start of the week at tight end is actually, I was going to say George Kittle, but that's a little too obvious. Of like, oh, start George Kittle. Like, yeah, no dib. For me, it's another kind of obvious one, but a little less obvious, is Evan Ingram, because I think he's going to have a monster week this week. Evan Ingram is coming off a week where he did not great. He had 7 fantasy points and half PPR. I wouldn't be worried about that. I know it's Daniel Jones' first start. Okay, I get it. But Evan Ingram is the only passing option, and it's against a Tampa defense that has struggled against tight ends this season. I think Evan Ingram's in line for a big week. And my sit is actually your guy, Darren Waller. I just think he's got a tough matchup this week against Minnesota.
I'm starting Waller no matter what.
You also don't have any other
in
options.
My league, yeah. No, I don't care to pick up another tight end. That'll do it for our starts and sits for week 3. Don't forget to check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. And we'll recap the entire week 3 on Tuesday. See you next Tuesday, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.